Start your mornings with these 9 Stoic habits to transform your day. If you want a more productive day with greater emotional balance, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It really helps our channel, which is growing. Let's embark on this journey of self-discovery together. Habit 1. Meditate on what you can control. Meditating on what you can control. This simple yet profound practice is one of the pillars of Stoicism and, at the same time, one of the greatest challenges for most of us in modern times. We live in a world where we often feel at the mercy of chaos, upsetting news, economic crises, personal and professional challenges. However, Stoic philosophy invites us to reflect on an essential truth. The only thing over which we have complete control is our own mind. Imagine the scene. You wake up on a Monday morning. The alarm goes off, and you already feel that weight on your chest. It's the lingering problems, work that seems never-ending, financial challenges that keep growing, relationships that need attention, and an outside world that feels increasingly turbulent. How do you react to all this? Do you feel helpless, anxious, worried? Here lies the essence of the teaching from Epictetus, one of the great Stoic masters. Some things are within our control, and others are not. Do not waste energy trying to control what is beyond your power. If you pause to reflect for a moment, you'll see that many of these worries that emerge in the morning, soon turning into stress, involve things over which you have no power. And this is one of the greatest sources of human suffering. What can you control, then? First and foremost, you can control your own reactions. When you wake up and face the anxiety of a new day, you have a choice. You can allow that anxiety to consume you, or you can consciously decide to handle it as best you can. Stoicism teaches us that our response to circumstances, not the circumstances themselves, truly determines our emotional state. It's not about ignoring or avoiding what troubles us, but rather about changing our perspective and our response. In this context, meditation is a powerful tool. You don't need to sit for hours in silence, though that can also be helpful. But dedicating a few minutes in the morning to reflect on what's within your control can completely change the way you approach your day. Ask yourself, what can I really change? How can I react to this in a more balanced way? Stoicism teaches us to accept that there are things outside of our control, like others' behavior, external circumstances, and even what the future holds. But by focusing only on what we can control, our energy is directed more productively, and our minds feel lighter and better prepared to handle the unexpected. Another important aspect of this meditation practice is realizing that happiness and well-being don't depend on external circumstances. In fact, it's the opposite. The more you focus on what you can control internally, the more you free yourself from needing a perfect world to be happy. Happiness doesn't consist in getting everything you desire, but in desiring what you already have, said Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher. In times of crisis or uncertainty, when fear and anxiety seem to dominate the mind, meditating on what we can control brings a sense of stability and clarity. Remember, you can't control what others think or do. You can't control the future. But you can control how you act, how you respond to challenges, and, most importantly, how you care for your own mind. True peace comes from within, not from external circumstances. But what happens when we focus on what we can't control? The most immediate consequence is stress. Try to control another person's behavior or the way the world turns, and you'll soon realize you're expending a massive amount of energy on something beyond your reach. What you can't control is like a leaf falling in the wind. It's going to fall anyway. Instead, focus on what you can do with that leaf. How to use it to learn, grow, and build your inner peace. Now, you may be wondering, but what about my problems? What about everything that worries me? The Stoic answer is clear. These problems, while real, are often amplified by our minds. When you realize you can control how you approach these problems, you begin to transform them. This doesn't mean ignoring them or pretending they don't exist, but rather understanding that suffering often stems from our inner resistance to what is uncontrollable. By accepting what's beyond our strength, we find freedom. Meditating on what you can control, therefore, is a daily practice. Start in the morning. Before getting out of bed, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what can I control today? How can I act virtuously in the face of challenges that may arise? By doing this, you begin your day powerfully, with your mind focused on what truly matters. This alone is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. If you continue practicing this reflection daily, your life will change. Anxiety will lessen, stress will become easier to manage, And, most importantly, you'll start to understand that you don't need to control everything to be happy. You only need to control what's within your reach: your attitude, your choices, and your peace of mind. Meditating on what you can control is more than a simple mental exercise. It's a way of life, a philosophy that allows you to face life's challenges with courage, serenity, and focus. By internalizing this practice, you'll find yourself able to navigate life's storms with a tranquility that once seemed unattainable. And in the end, the greatest reward of this practice is not just the peace of mind it brings, but the profound understanding that true freedom comes from within. This is what the Stoics taught us, and this is what we can learn to apply in our lives every day. Habit 2. Wake up early and embrace the morning's quietude. Wake up early and embrace the morning's quietude. It sounds like simple advice, but it's one of the most powerful practices for anyone seeking self-mastery, balance, and a fuller life. When you rise early, you not only start the day with an advantage over the world, but also connect with yourself in a way few have the privilege to experience. And if you delve deeper into Stoic philosophy, you'll find that this practice can be a direct path to wisdom, tranquility, and inner strength. Imagine the scene. The sun hasn't risen yet, the streets are silent, and the only sound you hear is the rhythm of your own breath. The world is still at rest, and you have a window of time where, free from distractions, you can focus on what truly matters. This is the first gift of the day, a moment of quiet that offers a rare chance to reflect, plan, and most importantly, connect with your essence. The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, teach us how to make the most of these moments of silence to cultivate a strong and serene mind. The philosopher Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, wrote about the importance of how the beginning of the day shapes our journey. For him, the first moment of the day should be dedicated to self-knowledge, reflection on our values, and preparation for the challenges ahead. This ties closely to what Stoicism calls self-discipline. By waking up early, you gain control over your time, keeping it from being stolen by distractions or haste. Now, you may ask, why is waking up early so important? And how does the morning's quiet connect to Stoicism? The answer starts with a simple truth. The morning quiet is a powerful metaphor for the inner peace Stoics sought. In a constantly moving world, the silence of the morning is like a blank canvas. On it, you can project the thoughts and actions that will guide your day. This quiet allows you to connect with your mind clearly, free from the noise of external demands, and this is where true reflection begins. Stoicism teaches us that upon waking, we should first recognize what is within our control and what is not. In the quiet morning, we have the privilege to examine our attitudes, expectations, and thoughts before the world begins to shape them. Without rush or the pressure of the clock, we have the chance to mentally prepare for the day's journey with a clear and focused mind. What will you do with this quietude? Will you use the moment to cultivate virtues like patience and temperance, or give in to the internal chaos of a disordered mind? Another great benefit of waking early and savoring the morning's quiet is the opportunity to practice gratitude. Although Stoics emphasized self-discipline, they didn't overlook the value of gratitude. Gratitude is a way of acknowledging that, upon waking, you already possess many gifts: life, health, the ability to think and act. These are treasures that often go unnoticed when we're constantly chasing more. In the morning quiet, you can pause for a moment to reflect on these blessings, beginning your day with an attitude of appreciation. This morning practice also provides a space to cultivate self-control, one of the pillars of Stoicism. Imagine yourself in a state of calm and peace. You have the chance to emotionally prepare for the day's challenges without being swept away by impatience or impulsiveness. By waking up early and embracing this silence, you're laying a foundation to act wisely rather than react impulsively. You can reflect on the virtues you want to cultivate, and as the day progresses, you can recall these virtues in your decisions. When you wake up early, you have plenty of time for what truly matters. It can be an ideal moment for meditation or deep reflection on your life and goals. Many Stoics practiced daily meditation to strengthen their minds and prepare for the adversities they might face. In the morning's quiet, you can think about what awaits you in the day, not with fear or anxiety, but with serenity and preparation. This allows you to face any challenge with a clearer, more focused mind. By waking early and embracing the quiet, you also approach true wisdom, which doesn't come from accumulating knowledge but from mental clarity. Stoics believed that wisdom is a constant path of self-examination and improvement, and the silent morning provides the perfect environment for this practice. When the world is silent, You can hear your own inner voice without the usual distractions that drown out this wisdom. This is the perfect time to reflect on what truly matters in life and to plan your actions based on virtue and self-control. There's also a practical aspect to waking up early. Morning is a time of renewed energy, and you feel a freshness that allows you to be more productive and focused. The Stoics believed that a clear and disciplined mind should be cultivated in all areas of life, including productivity. By waking early, you create a routine of self-control that not only gives you more time, but also enhances your ability to act effectively and without distractions. But what happens when we don't embrace this quiet? When we let the rush of modern life take away our morning tranquility? Often, we start the day already feeling overwhelmed. Without time for reflection, we surrender to anxiety, haste, and chaos. As a result, we're swept along by external forces instead of taking the reins of our own life. Morning quiet, however, offers a chance to break this cycle. By waking early, you gain time to be the master of your mind rather than be ruled by it. And in doing so, you move closer to what the Stoics valued most: the ability to live with serenity and wisdom, regardless of external circumstances. If you want to start practicing this, you don't need to make drastic changes right away. Start with small steps. Wake up just 15 minutes earlier and use this time to connect with your mind, reflect on what you can control for the day, and practice gratitude. Over time, these small moments will lead to big changes in your life. Waking up early and embracing the morning's quiet is not only a philosophical practice of the Stoics, it's a path to living with greater clarity, inner peace, and control over your life. By adopting this practice, you're not only gaining time but also acquiring the wisdom of one of ancient philosophy's greatest legacies: the art of living with calm and control, even in the face of challenges. Habit 3. Practice gratitude for what you already have. Practice gratitude for what you already have. This is one of the most powerful concepts we can learn from Stoic philosophy, and it's more relevant today than ever. We live in an era where we are constantly bombarded with messages that tell us we need more to be happy. More success, more money, more status, more things. But deep down, what we truly need is already right in front of us, within reach: the ability to recognize and be grateful for what we already have. Imagine for a moment, you're lying down at night, about to sleep. You're tired but, at the same time, content. You think about your day, your accomplishments, the small victories, and even the challenges you faced. But instead of focusing on what didn't go right or what's still missing, you start reflecting on what you already have: your health, your friends, your family, your ability to think and act, the opportunities that arose, the lessons you learned. You feel grateful. And this simple act of recognizing what you already have completely transforms your perception of life. This is gratitude. And this, according to the Stoics, is the key to a fuller and more peaceful life. Stoic philosophy, with its pillars of self-control and virtue, teaches us that the relentless desire for more can be one of the main sources of suffering. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, warned us, "Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do, and your life will be serene." He was telling us, in simple terms, that true happiness does not lie in more possessions or more success, but in fully accepting what we have, who we are, and what we have already achieved. Gratitude, in this sense, is not just a passing feeling but a daily practice that connects us with what is already sufficient. Why is practicing gratitude so essential? Because it completely changes the way we live our lives. When you focus on what you have instead of what's lacking, you create a field of peace. Imagine how different your routine would be if, instead of starting the day thinking about obligations and shortcomings, you focused on everything you've already achieved. If you're like most people, it's probably easy to forget the small victories, the simple things that actually make all the difference. This is something the Stoics taught us to do systematically. Seneca, for example, recommended reflecting on what we have each day. Instead of worrying about what's missing, he suggested taking a moment to appreciate what's already at our disposal: our health, time, the ability to choose our actions and attitudes. When we look more deeply at what we already possess, we soon realize we have much more than we imagined. Gratitude, then, becomes a powerful tool to cultivate inner peace. In today's fast-paced world, we're often distracted by what's coming next: the next project, the next goal, the next item on the wish list. Yet the Stoics teach us that by shifting our focus from the future to the present, we can cultivate a peace that doesn't rely on external circumstances. This state of constant gratitude is an antidote to anxiety and the existential emptiness we often feel. Imagine the power of starting the day with a simple question: what am I grateful for today? By doing this, you set a direction for your mind. Instead of being pulled by external demands, you create an inner space of contentment. This doesn't mean you should settle or stop seeking growth, but that, above all, you focus on what has already been given. And that makes all the difference. Another powerful aspect of gratitude is its impact on our emotions. When we're grateful, our mind calms down. Gratitude activates parts of the brain linked to well-being and happiness, reducing stress levels and increasing our capacity to handle adversity. The simple act of noticing and valuing what we already have changes how we face difficulties. Instead of longing for something or someone, we focus on the blessings already present in our lives. This is a fundamental Stoic concept. Being able to find contentment not in material possessions, but in the attitude of accepting and living with what life has already given us. Gratitude also has the power to increase our resilience. When we practice gratitude consistently, we begin to see that we can handle any challenge because we are anchored in what we've already achieved. The Stoics, always focused on virtue and inner strength, believed that our true wealth is not in possessions but in our ability to remain serene even in adversity. Gratitude strengthens this inner muscle, reminding us that, regardless of difficulties, there is always something to be grateful for. Now, you may be wondering, how do you put this into practice daily? How do you incorporate gratitude into your routine, especially when life seems to pull you in opposite directions? Start small. When you wake up, take a deep breath and think of 3 things you're grateful for. It doesn't matter how simple or complex they are. It could be your health, your comfortable bed, or the fact that you have the ability to change your life starting today. The constant practice of this reflection will strengthen your spirit, making gratitude an essential part of your life. The Stoics teach us to look at life from a broad perspective. They suggest that when we look at our possessions and achievements, we should recognize that everything we have can be taken from us at any moment. And it's precisely for this reason that we should value what we have even more. For them, life is not about accumulation but about recognizing what is already enough. Practicing gratitude is the key to accepting life's impermanence with wisdom and serenity. Practicing gratitude for what we already have is not just a mental exercise. It's a way of living that brings emotional balance, inner peace, and, perhaps most importantly, a deep sense of satisfaction. Gratitude teaches us to see the value in the present, to focus on what we can control, and to act with greater virtue. And by adopting this daily practice, you are not only moving towards contentment but also towards a fuller, more serene, and undoubtedly wiser life. Habit 4. Set an intention for your day. Set an intention for your day. It seems simple, but it is one of the most powerful practices you can adopt, especially when applied through Stoic philosophy. Stoicism, with its emphasis on discipline, self-control, and virtue, teaches us that how we start the day can shape how we face all the challenges that arise. And setting an intention is not just a useful practice, it's one of the deepest secrets to living with more clarity, focus, and purpose. Imagine waking up in the morning and, before getting out of bed, deciding what your focus for the day will be. Instead of being dragged by external demands or starting the day reactively, you establish a clear direction. This may seem small, but it's a radically transformative decision. By setting an intention, you are not only planning what to do, but how to live. This conscious choice about how you wish to direct your energy throughout the day can be the difference between living on autopilot and living intentionally and purposefully. The practice of setting an intention for the day comes directly from Stoic lessons on control and acceptance. For the Stoics, life is unpredictable and full of unexpected challenges. However, what we can control, and this is what gives us true freedom, is our responses. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." In other words, what truly defines our fate is not the external circumstances, but how we choose to face them. Setting an intention for the day is our way of taking control. However, contrary to what many may think, setting an intention does not mean creating rigid expectations or wishing for everything to unfold exactly as planned. That is an illusion of control that, in reality, only leads to frustration. The intention the Stoics suggest should be flexible and focused on virtue and self-control. The goal is not to control every aspect of life, but to cultivate an attitude that allows us to navigate challenges with calm, wisdom, and self-awareness. If you commit to an intention, such as maintaining calm in the face of stress or practicing patience in a difficult moment, you will be more prepared to handle any adversity. The key here is to realize that, even in a world where many things are beyond our control, our intention becomes an anchor. When you wake up and decide that your focus will be patience, gratitude, or perseverance, you are creating a commitment to yourself. Instead of reacting to situations, you act with intention. This transforms your life experience, making every challenge an opportunity for practice and growth. Intention also helps us align our actions with our deepest values. What do you truly value? Honesty, generosity, hard work, continuous learning? When you set an intention, you are, in fact, establishing an internal compass that guides you throughout the day. Even if circumstances change, even if you face obstacles, this intention is the guiding thread that keeps you true to what is most important to you. It serves as a constant reminder that no matter what happens, you can respond with wisdom and virtue. By adopting this practice, you also begin to notice a cumulative effect. Each day you start with a clear intention strengthens your ability to live more aligned with your principles. Over time, you'll realize that, instead of being dragged by the ups and downs of life, you begin to live with more control and balance. This doesn't mean that challenges will disappear, but that you will be better equipped to face them serenely and effectively. The Stoics did not see life as a series of random events, but rather as a constant opportunity to apply virtue. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, practiced this every day. He started the day reflecting that he would encounter selfish, impatient, and unpleasant people, but the only thing he could control was his own attitude. This is not resignation, but a form of empowerment. When you set an intention, you take responsibility for how you will behave, regardless of what others or the external world do. By setting an intention for the day, you create a small but powerful act of self-discipline. And self-discipline is essential to the Stoics, as it allows us to act in accordance with our values, even when emotions try to lead us astray. If you start the day with the intention of being more patient, for example, you'll soon notice that situations that would have previously frustrated you can be dealt with more calmly and with understanding. Every choice to live according to your intention strengthens your ability to stay true to your principles, even in moments of challenge. But how can you set an intention for the day effectively? The Stoics suggest we begin with clear reflection on what we want to achieve, not in terms of external results, but in terms of virtue and character. Instead of focusing on what you want to accomplish or obtain during the day, think about how you want to be. Do you want to be more patient, more generous, more focused, or more disciplined? Ask yourself a simple question upon waking: how do I want to be today? What do I choose to be in relation to myself and others? The answer to this question will be your intention. And throughout the day, whenever you feel distracted, remember this intention. Another important aspect of setting an intention is flexibility. Life, as the Stoics knew well, is unpredictable. Even with the best intentions, you may face setbacks and obstacles. But this does not mean your intention has failed. It simply means you are facing a new opportunity to practice virtue. If your goal is to be more patient and you find yourself frustrated, instead of blaming yourself, remember that this is the perfect moment to practice what you set out to do. This practice of setting intention can be done in small steps, but its effects over time are profound. By committing daily to an intention, you begin to live more consciously and purposefully. And over time, this practice becomes a natural reflection of who you are, a person who acts with control, virtue, and wisdom. Setting an intention for your day is not just a mental exercise or a motivational technique. It is a deep Stoic practice that helps us live more fully and in alignment with what truly matters. It is a way to take the reins of your life, not to be dragged by external currents, but to navigate your own path with clarity and purpose. By doing so, you are cultivating virtue, tranquility, and control over your destiny. And in the end, that is what truly matters. Habit 5. Plan your day with focus and simplicity. Plan your day with focus and simplicity. It seems like a simple task, doesn't it? But what Stoic philosophy teaches us is that often, it is the simple actions, done with great intention, that truly shape our lives. We live in a fast-paced world, full of distractions and commitments. The stress of daily life often pushes us toward disorganization and unnecessary complexity. However, by following the principles of Stoicism, we can learn to focus on what truly matters and simplify what needs to be done. Simplicity, in the context of Stoicism, does not mean doing less, but doing what is essential. The Stoics, such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, were masters at seeking clarity and efficiency in their actions. They knew that time is the most valuable resource we have, and that, to make the best use of it, we need to devote our energy only to things within our reach and that truly have value. In other words, they understood that to be productive, you need to plan your day with clarity and an unwavering focus on the actions that lead you to what matters most. The first step in planning your day with focus and simplicity is to establish a clear vision of what you want to achieve. However, this vision should be simple. What do you need to do today? What is the most important action you can take that will have the greatest impact on your life or your goals? Instead of getting lost in an endless list of tasks, the Stoic philosopher asks, what is truly essential? By doing this, you begin to realize that many of the things we plan to do are actually secondary. They can be postponed or even eliminated. Epictetus, for example, taught us to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. When planning your day, you should apply this principle practically. Ask yourself, what actions are within my control? What things truly depend on me? Then, focus on them. Everything beyond your control should be set aside, not because you don't care about it, but because you recognize that focusing on something beyond your hands is a waste of energy. Stoic daily planning is not about accumulating tasks or increasing the quantity of things done. On the contrary, it is about quality, focus, and efficiency. The Stoic philosopher knows that many of the distractions in modern life are merely illusions that take us away from what really matters. The constant quest for productivity, the desire to please everyone, and the pressure to fulfill a packed schedule can be major sources of stress. For the Stoics, a well-lived day is not a day full of tasks, but a day where you acted with integrity, calm, and focus on what was truly necessary. The second fundamental principle of planning your day with focus and simplicity is self-discipline. Stoic philosophy does not rely on momentary motivation, but on the continuous commitment to the principles you have defined. Instead of depending on fleeting energy or external motivation, Stoicism teaches us to cultivate discipline, consistency, and self-determination. Setting a simple plan for the day and following it with focus on the chosen actions is, in essence, an exercise in discipline. This commitment to yourself not only facilitates task execution, but also generates a deep sense of fulfillment at the end of the day. When planning your day, it is also important to consider your energy and the time you have available. One of the most valuable lessons Stoicism teaches is that there is no virtue in overworking or exhausting yourself. The Stoics were not concerned with doing more, they were concerned with doing what is necessary with excellence and purpose. By understanding the rhythms of your own life and limiting the scope of your planning, you can create a plan that you can realistically follow. Finally, the practice of planning your day with simplicity and focus also means learning to say no to distractions and unnecessary obligations. The world is full of demands that pull us in many directions, but the Stoics knew that every yes is a no to something else. To be truly productive and effective, you must create space for what matters and eliminate anything that is not essential. It might mean saying no to social media, to unnecessary meetings, or even to small tasks that waste your time. In summary, the Stoic approach to daily planning is about choosing what is essential, staying focused on those actions, and cutting out distractions. It is about giving yourself permission to be efficient, intentional, and present in the moments that matter most. When you plan your day with this mindset, you will not only be more productive, but you will also feel more at peace, knowing that you are dedicating your time and energy to what truly counts. Habit 6. Face difficulties with serenity. Facing difficulties with serenity. This is one of the most powerful skills that Stoic philosophy offers us. We live in a world full of challenges, unforeseen events, and situations that throw us off balance. And despite all our attempts to control the chaos around us, adversity seems to be a constant. However, the Stoics have a radically different approach to how we should handle these difficulties. Instead of fighting against them, we should accept them with serenity and, more importantly, use these experiences as opportunities for growth. So, what does it mean to face difficulties with serenity? According to Stoic principles, serenity is not passivity or resignation. It is not about ignoring problems or pretending they don't exist. On the contrary, it is the ability to face adversity calmly, without losing composure, without letting frustration or fear take over. For the Stoics, serenity is the ability to maintain inner peace no matter what is happening around you. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, has one of the most powerful quotes on this subject. It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. This statement teaches us that the true cause of our suffering is not the problems themselves, but the way we choose to react to them. When we face a difficulty, we can choose to see it as a threat or as an opportunity to test our resilience. Serenity arises when we decide not to let external circumstances determine our internal state. For example, imagine you are facing a significant obstacle in your life. It could be a financial loss, a challenge at work, or even a personal crisis. What Stoic philosophy suggests is that, instead of being consumed by anger or hopelessness, you should first observe your thoughts and emotions. The first instinctive reaction may be anger, frustration, or fear, but the Stoics teach us to take a step back. We should ask ourselves, what can I control here? How can I respond to this situation virtuously? Serenity comes when we can distinguish between what is under our control and what is not, and then focus on what we can do with the circumstances we have. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic figure, was an emperor who faced many adversities during his reign. In his meditations, he constantly reflected on the fact that, no matter how challenging external events were, his response to those events was what truly mattered. He wrote, "The life of a man is what his thoughts make of it." This idea reflects the Stoic philosophy that if we control our thoughts and our reactions, we can face any difficulty with serenity. What happens around us cannot be controlled, but how we react, we can. Now, you may be wondering, but how is it possible to maintain serenity in truly difficult situations? How can I stay calm when everything around me is falling apart? The answer, according to the Stoics, lies in cultivating what they call inner tranquility. This is the state of mind in which, regardless of external circumstances, you remain firm in your principles and your inner peace. This requires daily practice, constant reflection, and above all, understanding that difficulties are a natural part of life. For the Stoics, difficulties are not enemies, but disguised opportunities. Philosophy teaches us to see suffering and challenges as forms of tests. The resistance we encounter along the way is actually a chance to develop our virtues: patience, courage, wisdom, and self-control. By facing difficulties with serenity, we become stronger, more resilient, and wiser. One very effective technique to cultivate serenity is the practice of negative visualization, a technique recommended by Seneca. Instead of avoiding fear or anxiety about challenges, he suggests that we visualize the difficulties that might arise in our lives. Imagine the worst-case scenario. What would happen if everything went wrong? How would you deal with it? By visualizing these situations, you begin to realize that many of your concerns are unfounded or exaggerated. And, more importantly, you mentally prepare yourself to face adversity more calmly and controlled. By doing so, you develop the ability to maintain serenity even when confronted with the unexpected. Another Stoic strategy that can be very helpful for facing difficulties with serenity is the practice of acceptance. The Stoics teach us that we cannot control everything that happens around us. Life, with all its uncertainties, is beyond our control. But what we can control is our response to it. Acceptance does not mean resignation, but rather recognizing that there are things beyond our understanding and power. By accepting this, you free yourself from frustration and distress that arise when we try to control the uncontrollable. Serenity becomes more accessible when we understand that, in many situations, the best response is simply to accept what is happening and focus on our attitude toward it. It is also worth noting that serenity is not a passive emotion. Staying calm in the face of difficulty requires a deep inner strength. Serenity is an active form of resistance, a conscious choice not to be dominated by external circumstances. When you encounter adversity, instead of reacting impulsively, serenity allows you to distance yourself from immediate stress and respond with clarity, rationality, and self-control. This rational response is what allows us to make the best decisions even under pressure. Serenity, therefore, is the ability to remain balanced when the world around us is in turmoil. For the Stoics, it is a daily practice, not something that simply happens. It requires discipline, self-awareness, and a deep understanding that, in the end, what matters are not the events, but how we choose to respond to them. When you begin to apply Stoic principles in your life, you start to realize that difficulties do not have the power to dominate your inner peace unless you allow them to. Facing difficulties with serenity is, therefore, a commitment to virtue and inner peace. By adopting this mindset, you not only face challenges more effectively but also grow with each one. Serenity is the path to wisdom, and wisdom is the greatest good we can achieve. So, instead of seeing difficulties as obstacles, start seeing them as opportunities to practice virtue and strengthen your mind. After all, as the Stoics well knew, difficulties are just part of the great stage of life, and the way we choose to act is what truly defines our journey. Habit 7. Avoid hurry. Live in the present moment. In a world that seems to operate at a frenetic pace, hurry has almost become a second nature for many of us. We are constantly rushing from one task to another, filled with commitments, concerns, and expectations. The idea of living in the here and now often feels like a distant utopia. However, Stoic philosophy offers a powerful and profound perspective on the impact of hurry in our lives and how we can find balance and serenity by avoiding this accelerated pace. Stoic philosophers, such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, were masters at handling the pressures of the world, but also at knowing how to slow down to live with more purpose and attention. For the Stoics, hurry is not just about being busy, but a way of living without truly living. We are so focused on the future or the details of daily life that we forget what truly matters, the present. And it is in the present that true life happens. Seneca, in his letters, speaks about the fact that many of us are wasting our time chasing things that have no real value, while the only thing we truly have is the present moment. He writes, "Life is long enough, and a life generously given to us, if well used, allows us to achieve great things." However, he also warns that if we spend our time rushing after things that don't matter, or if we are always trying to anticipate the future, we will never experience the fullness of life. Hurry, for him, is the great enemy of accomplishment. By avoiding hurry and living in the present moment, we begin to experience something essential: the ability to be fully immersed in our daily experiences. It's not about doing more in less time, but about doing what is necessary, fully and attentively. For the Stoics, true wisdom is not in doing the most things, but in doing things with purpose, calm, and precision. When we hurry, the quality of our actions is lost, and the value of the experience dissipates. Epictetus, for example, emphasizes the importance of focusing on what we can control. He teaches us that, in a chaotic world, the only thing we truly have control over is our response to the present moment. If we are constantly in a hurry, we are always trying to control more than we can. This creates a cycle of stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. However, if we choose to slow down, we can focus on the actions that truly matter, with the necessary focus to live more meaningfully. One of the greatest traps of hurry is the illusion that we are in control of time. Modern society teaches us that time is a resource to be consumed, that we must be productive and efficient at all times. However, Stoic philosophy challenges us to rethink this view. Rather than constantly seeking the next step or the next task, the Stoics remind us that it is through the acceptance of the present moment that we find true freedom. This does not mean being passive, but rather choosing to live with intention and clarity. When we free ourselves from the idea that we must do everything quickly, we can begin to appreciate what is in front of us. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, writes in his Meditations about how we should be at peace with time and the natural rhythm of life. For him, hurry is a form of resistance to the natural course of things. If we are always trying to rush everything, we fail to perceive the opportunities that arise along the way. Hurrying is a way of swimming against the current of the universe, while living in the present moment is accepting the natural rhythm of things and finding wisdom in what is immediate. Hurry is also often tied to fear. We fear wasting time, fear falling behind, fear not being enough. Stoic philosophy teaches us that fear of the future is one of the greatest sources of suffering. When we are anxious about what is to come, we disconnect from the present and lose the chance to act with clarity. By avoiding hurry and focusing on the now, we can reduce anxiety about the future and concentrate on doing the best we can with what we have in the moment. True freedom, for the Stoics, lies in living without hurry. When we free ourselves from this constant pressure to do more and be more, we can find inner peace. It is in the present moment that we find our power, because it is in the present that our actions can truly make a difference. When we live in a constant state of hurry, we are letting go of the ability to make conscious and deliberate decisions. We are allowing the flow of life to carry us without being able to shape it. On the other hand, by living with more calm and intention, we can take control of our lives in a firmer and more effective way. Therefore, one of the greatest teachings of Stoicism regarding hurry is the idea that time is one of the most precious resources we have. When we are in a hurry, we are essentially telling time that it is not valuable. But by slowing down and living in the present moment, We show that we understand the value of time and are willing to use it wisely. Stoicism challenges us to make conscious, focused choices and abandon hurry, because hurry is the enemy of the quality and depth of experience. By practicing slowing down, we begin to notice how life really works, gradually, fluidly, and organically. When we allow ourselves to live in the present moment, we find peace not in doing more, but in doing what is necessary with full attention. By releasing hurry, we find a new way of being in the world, more connected, more aware, and more at peace. Stoicism teaches us that living without hurry is the key to finding deep meaning in our actions. It's not about avoiding work or action, but about acting with presence, without the weight of urgency. When we let go of hurry, we realize that we can do much more, with much more quality and intention, than we ever could by rushing. Ultimately, avoiding hurry does not mean living without ambition or purpose. It means living with more clarity and more respect for the moment we are experiencing. It means acting with serenity, without the anxiety of trying to control everything and everyone, without the need to rush into the future before fully experiencing the present. When we allow ourselves to slow down, we begin to notice the beauty and value of each moment, and thus, we find true freedom. Habit 8. Reflect on the impermanence of things. The impermanence of things is one of the greatest truths we can learn in life. Everything that exists is in constant change, and nothing remains the same forever. From the cycle of the seasons to our own emotions, everything is subject to the flow of time and, eventually, disappears. The concept of impermanence, although challenging, is deeply revealing and is at the core of Stoic philosophy. Stoics like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius understood that accepting the transience of life is one of the greatest steps towards achieving inner serenity. What does it mean to reflect on the impermanence of things? Simply put, it means understanding that everything we possess, everything we love, and even all our experiences are temporary. Happiness, difficulties, youth, relationships, everything transforms with the passing of time. This reflection, instead of generating fear or despair, can be a source of freedom. If we understand that things are not permanent, we can, in some way, detach ourselves from them and live more lightly, without the burden of excessive possession or anxiety about the future. The Stoics teach us that, by reflecting on impermanence, we can see the world more clearly. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the world and people are in constant flux. The nature of all things is to change, and by accepting this change, we can live more wisely and calmly. He writes, "Everything that happens as it should, and if you observe carefully, you will see that everything fits together perfectly." This teaches us that, by understanding impermanence, we also realize that life, no matter how unpredictable it may seem, follows a natural pattern, a cosmic order to which we are all part. However, reflecting on impermanence is not an easy task. We live in a world that constantly encourages us to seek stability, security, and permanence. We are always trying to protect what we have gained, ensuring that things don't change. But the truth is that, no matter how hard we try, change is the only constant in life. Nothing lasts forever, and resisting this truth only causes suffering. Seneca, in his letters, warns about the fleeting nature of time and how it is the most precious resource we have. He tells us that life is not short, but that we make it short by wasting it on unnecessary concerns and the pursuit of things that, deep down, don't matter. Reflecting on impermanence invites us to use our time more wisely, to focus on what truly matters, and to embrace the present moment. When we recognize that time is limited, we become more focused on what truly matters. Instead of getting lost in distractions or worries, we begin to appreciate what we have now and act with more intention. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us that true freedom lies in accepting what we cannot control. The impermanence of things is one of those realities that is beyond our ability to control. We may wish for our loved ones to live forever or desire happy moments to never end, but the truth is that none of this is within our control. Instead of resisting impermanence, the Stoics teach us to accept it with serenity. By doing so, we can live with greater calm and less fear of the future. But how can we reflect on impermanence practically in our daily lives? One of the most effective ways is through meditation on death, something that the Stoics practiced regularly. This practice is not morbid, but liberating. By reflecting on death and the fact that all things will one day come to an end, we begin to appreciate more the life we have. Seneca reminds us that death teaches us to live, because it forces us to look at life more clearly, to set aside what is irrelevant, and to focus on what truly matters. Thinking about impermanence also helps us be more grateful for what we have now. Instead of lamenting what we don't have or what has already passed, we begin to value the present and the things within our reach. Gratitude and impermanence go hand in hand. When we recognize that nothing lasts forever, we can appreciate the value of each moment and experience. Life, however short it may seem, becomes richer and more meaningful when we live with full awareness of its transience. Impermanence also teaches us to cultivate resilience. We know that difficulties, no matter how intense they may be, will also pass. The storms of life are temporary, and by reflecting on this, we can maintain calm and serenity even in the toughest moments. The Stoics believe that adversity is an opportunity for us to grow in virtue, and that the impermanence of difficulties allows us to see the light at the end of the tunnel. This does not mean ignoring suffering, but rather having the confidence that it too will pass, just like happy moments. Reflecting on impermanence can also teach us about detachment. When we become overly attached to something, whether it be an object, a person, or even a situation, we are setting ourselves up for suffering. Everything we love and value has an expiration date, and the more we attach ourselves, the harder it will be to cope with its loss. The Stoics teach us that we should cultivate detachment, not as a way of rejecting the good things in life, but as a means of living with more freedom, knowing that loss is part of the journey. Understanding the impermanence of things also helps us stop worrying so much about what others think of us. Often, we spend our lives trying to impress others, seeking validation and recognition. But when we reflect on the transitory nature of life, we realize that these concerns are fleeting. The opinions of others have no real value when compared to our own inner peace and true happiness. By reflecting on impermanence, we begin to realize that life is much more about living with purpose than accumulating wealth or status. True wealth lies in our ability to appreciate the present, to learn from change, and to live according to our deepest values. We cannot control time, but we can control how we choose to use it. We can choose to live with awareness, gratitude, and acceptance, knowing that everything we have is temporary, but that this does not diminish its value. In fact, it makes each moment more precious. Therefore, reflecting on impermanence is an invitation to live with more wisdom, more attention, and more gratitude. It is a reminder that time is short and that true happiness comes from appreciating what we have now, without attachment to the past and without anxiety for the future. By applying the teachings of Stoicism in our lives, we can find peace in accepting transience and live more fully, knowing that each moment is unique and unrepeatable. Habit 9. Cultivate self-discipline and patience. Self-discipline and patience are two fundamental virtues in Stoic philosophy, essential for living a life of purpose, clarity, and serenity. In a world that seems to be moving faster each day, where distractions are constant and the temptations of instant gratification are everywhere, these virtues become even more valuable. But how can we effectively cultivate self-discipline and patience? How can we apply these Stoic principles to our daily lives and use them to improve our lives? Stoic philosophy, championed by thinkers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, teaches us that self-discipline is the key to inner freedom. It's not about denying life's pleasures, but about understanding that, to live fully and with purpose, we must master our passions and impulses. The Stoics believed that true happiness doesn't come from living according to our immediate desires, but from choosing to act rationally and controlled, in alignment with our deepest values. Self-discipline begins largely with self-awareness. It requires us to look inward and understand our motivations, strengths, and weaknesses. For the Stoics, self-mastery is the ability to make conscious decisions, not impulsive ones, and to keep our minds focused on what truly matters. True self-discipline doesn't come from forcing ourselves to do something, but from cultivating the habit of making the right decisions, even when they are difficult. Epictetus, in his Enchiridion, reminds us that we have the power to control our actions, thoughts, and reactions. He states, "It is not what happens to us that bothers us, but our opinion of what happens." This teaching shows us that self-discipline starts with how we choose to react to life's events. When we cultivate the habit of responding thoughtfully, rather than reactively, to what happens to us, we practice self-discipline. This requires constant practice, but it is the key to achieving balance and inner peace. On the other hand, patience is the virtue that teaches us to cope with life's adversities and challenges without losing control. The Stoics understood that suffering and pain are inevitable, but how we respond to them is what truly defines our well-being. Seneca, in his letters, writes about how we should accept difficult moments with calm and patience, knowing that they are part of life's nature. He challenges us to view obstacles as opportunities to grow in virtue. Patience, contrary to what many may think, does not mean passivity or resignation. It is an active form of coping. When we are patient, we are not simply waiting for things to get better. We are cultivating the ability to persevere, to maintain focus and clarity even amidst chaos. For the Stoics, patience is the ability to wait for the right time to act, without the anxiety of immediacy. It is knowing that everything happens in its due time and that, often, the best action is one that waits for the right opportunity. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, in his Meditations, reminds us that we have the choice to see adversity as something negative or as an opportunity to practice patience and perseverance. He writes, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." In other words, if an event or situation is beyond our control, it cannot be considered absolutely bad. What truly matters is how we handle it. If the situation challenges us, we can use that challenge to strengthen our patience and self-discipline. So, how can we cultivate these virtues in our daily lives? Constant practice and daily reflection are key. One of the most effective ways to develop self-discipline and patience is to start with small habits that challenge us to act in a controlled and thoughtful manner. This could be as simple as practicing meditation to calm the mind, setting daily routines to ensure productivity, or even avoiding impulsive behaviors that may derail us from our goals. Self-discipline also requires us to be honest with ourselves. It is no use trying to impose rigid rules if, deep down, we are not committed to our own growth. Stoic philosophy teaches us to be realistic about our goals and to keep our expectations in line with reality. Self-discipline is not about being perfectionist, but about being consistent. It is knowing that results come over time with continuous effort, not from intense and sporadic effort. For this, we must learn to deal with frustration and resist the temptation of instant gratification. Stoicism teaches us that true freedom does not come from yielding to every momentary desire, but from being able to delay them and focus on what truly matters. The practice of self-discipline, therefore, involves constant vigilance over our thoughts and behaviors. Whenever we succumb to the temptation to act impulsively, we have the opportunity to learn and improve. Patience, in turn, requires us to know how to wait for the right moment. We live in an era of instant gratification, where we expect quick and immediate results. However, patience is a virtue that requires a deep understanding that good things take time. The path to success, happiness, and fulfillment is often slower than we would like, but it is the natural pace of life. When we are able to embrace this slowness with patience, we are able to enjoy the process and the lessons that come along the way. A practical way to cultivate patience is, as the Stoics did, to reflect on life's difficulties rationally. Whenever we face a challenging situation, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can this help me grow? By adopting this mindset, we turn patience from mere passive waiting into a deliberate and constructive action. Rather than despairing over obstacles, we see them as an opportunity to strengthen our perseverance and emotional control. Therefore, self-discipline and patience are, together, the keys to a well-lived life according to Stoic philosophy. They teach us to live more consciously, controlled, and focused on what truly matters. It is not about seeking a life without challenges, but about facing those challenges with wisdom, calmness, and determination. By cultivating these virtues, we become more resilient, more focused, and more aligned with our true essence. The path to self-knowledge and a fulfilled life lies in the daily practice of self-discipline and patience, and Stoic philosophy offers us the tools and wisdom to walk this path with wisdom and serenity. Throughout this video, we explored how Stoic philosophy can transform our mornings and daily lives, helping us cultivate a more balanced, serene, and focused life. We began with the importance of meditating on what we can control, an essential practice for peace of mind and to avoid unnecessary suffering. We saw how waking up early and embracing the stillness of the morning allows us to prepare the mind for the day ahead, with clarity and purpose. We also discussed the power of gratitude, as a transformative habit that connects us to the present moment and helps us live with greater contentment. Setting a clear intention for the day, planning with focus and simplicity, facing challenges with serenity, and avoiding haste, these are all essential habits of Stoicism that teach us to live more consciously and less reactively. Finally, reflecting on the impermanence of things allows us to detach and appreciate what we have now, while cultivating self-discipline and patience strengthens our ability to act with more control, purpose, and resilience. These simple yet powerful habits have the potential to transform the way we live, relate to the world, and face challenges. Each of these Stoic principles invites us to take the reins of our life, live with more balance, and connect with our true nature. Now, if you truly want to apply these teachings in your life and continue evolving, subscribe to the channel. Here, we are committed to bringing valuable content for your personal and philosophical growth. Give us a like if you believe these principles can help make your daily life more focused and balanced, and share this video with those who also seek to live with more purpose. Together, as a community, let's apply these ideas and transform our lives into something more meaningful. Subscribe and activate notifications so you won't miss the upcoming videos that will take your journey of self-discovery even further.